How old were you?
7.
This is like Mark Sawyer stuff.
So at the age of 7, I've already done what I'm doing today. Figuring out how do I do this better.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley, in partnership with Leumi Tech, sponsored by Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Turing, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, and in media partnership with CTech. Thank you for joining me on another episode of 20-Minute Leaders. Today I have the unique and amazing pleasure of sitting with Tal Jacobson, General Manager at CodeFuel. Tal is an executive in the Israeli high-tech industry for over 20 years. He was the Chief Revenue and Business Development Officer at SimilarWeb, who recently went public. Tal also held leadership positions as the Vice President of Business at McCann Erickson and was part of the business development team at ICQ and AOL. Tal is now the General Manager at CodeFuel, the search technology division of Perion Network. Welcome, Tal. Tal Jacobson, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. It is so great to have you with me today.
Oh, great. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you. Are you calling from the CodeFuel offices right now?
Yeah. I'm at the Israeli offices of CodeFuel.
General Manager at CodeFuel, but I'll start with this. When I asked you before, because your resume is too big to even start to understand where we're going to start, I asked you what is most exciting for you, and I loved your response because you said, the journey was a lot, and there's a lot of twists and turns and a lot of unexpectedness, and that is exactly what I love talking about in this show. So just as a small highlights, you were Chief Revenue Officer and Chief Business Officer at SimilarWeb, at VP at McCann Erickson Digital, in Entrepreneur in Residence and Techstars, and today you're at CodeFuel, and there's a lot of things in between that I didn't even mention because my memory is not as good as the list of your experiences. But I want to ask you, Tal, going back to your times as an animator, I can't believe that's where we're starting.
Yeah.
How the hell do you get to be an executive in some of the most amazing companies in Israel and the world? How does that happen?
I think it all happened by mistake, like all good things. I started by pursuing what I love to do, which is drawing and doing animations. Started like 26 years ago, learned animation, went to the US, worked a bit in animation. Then I had to come to Israel, ran out of money, I couldn't get back to the United States, find a company who would hire me that I knew their software, which was Macromedia, the company who invented Flash and was bought by Adobe. I thought I was going to work there for 3 months, save some money, get back. One thing led to another. Been there for 6 years. The company went to 4,000 employees. I became VP marketing of this region. I have no idea how that happened, but it was quite a journey. And at the end of it, it was bought by Adobe. So I really got into this high-tech business executive kind of thing by mistake.
And so, if you look back at your journey now, what is the common thread? So you've held executive positions at a few big companies already. What has been a common thread as you journeyed along these different experiences? You mentioned over 25 years.
Yeah.
And what I'm asking is, who is Tal? Who is Tal?
So I think the common thing is, how do you get to a place and solve the issues that they have? So, for example, in Macromedia, bear in mind, 25 years ago, wow, I'm so old. So in Macromedia, we wanted to sell, software, but back then we sold boxes of software with CDs and books, right? Wasn't what we have today. And I came up with the idea of doing performance marketing, where performance marketing wasn't that common, and we've done that by fax. So we got all the numbers from all the studios who would buy this software. And overnight, we've sent a brochure to all those companies. And in the morning, our sales team were bombed with phones. And we've sold so many software by fax, which was the first performance marketing. And with, throughout the years, I went and teach MBA students marketing. And I said, it doesn't matter if you're doing that online or you're doing billboards, as long as you can define your target audience and know how to get them, then everything's the same. Nothing changed. You just need to find the right channel.
Now, what drew you to the world of marketing in the first place, and and we'll talk a little bit about performance marketing, but in the idea of marketing, what drew you there, and from the get-go?
So I think, looking back, the thing that drew me to animation was creativity. In marketing and problem solving has the same thing, right? You need to figure something out and you need to be very creative. How do I get to that place through a way that nobody else thought, right? Normally when you want to generate a higher ROI, you need to figure out something that nobody else thought about. So creativity, problem solving, that's really all about what drives me.
Right. And so today, general manager at CodeFuel, tell me a little bit about what that role is for you. Because one of the things that I'm always curious about is, why do people decide to do what they do? And now with the record that you're coming with, arguably you could really pick and choose whatever position you'd want in any company. And I'm really curious, what is it about CodeFuel and the job of a general manager that specifically spoke to you?
Right. So, CodeFuel is the search division of Perion Network, which is a publicly traded company in the Nasdaq. And Perion the parent company of CodeFuel, had a new CEO that came on board, Doron Gatzter, and when he spoke with me about the company and his vision and what we can do about it, and then I looked at the stock price and what CodeFuel does, and I said, what, there's a real opportunity here to change change everything. And when you look at the stock, in the past 2.5 years that I'm here, at least, we really changed how the company works. We became the biggest partner of Microsoft. Stock went up really, from we were worth $70 million. Now we're 550 in 2 years.
Wow.
Touch wood. But it's all about, I always says, Guy Kawasaki said that once, and it really, I really think that's the way. I always say that I have the golden touch. And when I said that, everybody looks kind of weird when I said, it's not that everything I touch turns into gold. I just need to find gold and touch it. So I look for companies that are like a diamond in the rough, like companies that I know they have good potential, but they didn't get to where they need to get. And that's where my skill of problem solving gets in. I had the same kind of thing with SimilarWeb.
Yes.
So SimilarWeb, they offered me the job at 2008.
Wow.
Which was early days for SimilarWeb with OR. And I think, OR is amazing. But back in 2008, the product was totally different. I didn't believe in the product. Few years ahead, 2012, OR gave me a call, said, you know what, we're doing a pivot. Something totally different. Just come, look at what we do. Let me know if you want to be part of that. I came to the office, I looked at the data, and I told Or, you know what? This is awesome. I want to use that data. I don't care if I work here or not. I want that data.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to join no matter what. So, finding things that you really believe in, that there's a huge potential, that nobody, that with your skill you can turn into gold, that's the golden touch. Find things that your touch can turn into gold, because the gold is there. You just need to take it.
So going off of that and looking at the different positions you've held and the, important strategic positions that, at the end led to, decisions being made and outcomes, and you're talking about golden touches. But tangibly, how do you then go about your day thinking through, how to actually make those strategic decisions? When you look back, as you're now in CodeFuel, what lessons have you learned through the other experiences that enable you to do your job well now?
I think, the major lesson here that I learned throughout the years, that, ideas come and go. The ideas don't have any potential. It's only people.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to find people that I believe in. So Perion CEO, Doron, is an amazing person to work with. That was the main thing that drew me here. Working with Or at SimilarWeb, you can see the quality. You can see that no matter what, he would make it, right? And at the end of the day, you know that, right? When you invest in people, you don't invest in ideas. You invest in people, because ideas constantly shift, right? And you want to find people who are going to be, your co-founders to the journey. When things, go sideways, and things always go sideways, you want to find your partners, right? And that's the goal. That's the key.
So looking at specifically, I'm curious about this question of chief revenue or chief business, or any position that has to do with, thinking about revenue streams, thinking about the growth of the company, either specifically in SimilarWeb or elsewhere. What does that actually entail? So what are the questions that you're asking yourself on a daily basis that you're concerning yourself with, and how far along do you have to think as you're making those decisions?
How far along? So, listen, I'm a performance kind of guy. I'm all about execution. So, I have a 5-year strategy, but if it doesn't make money 2 months from now, it's not worth it.
And why is that?
So
why is it not worth it if in 2 months it doesn't make money?
Right. So I'll take it back. Not only money, but you need to think big, like really big. Where am I going to be? Where the company is going to be in 3 years from now? Mm-hmm. And then you need to break it into the smallest pieces that you can, so you can constantly validate that you're on the right path to the bigger dream. So if in 2 or 3 months you're not on the right path, you either change the path, or you need to evaluate your dream or your goal or your strategy.
So what I'm hearing,
but you can't wait too long.
Is that what I'm hearing from you is that before you said money was more of a metaphor for a signature of improvement, a signal that you're moving in the right direction. And what I'm hearing from you is that even though you think maybe 5 years ahead, you need to make decisions that are going to, in the short term, validate the path towards that that end goal. And if you can't validate within a very short time span, then it might not be worth it, because you don't know whether you're even going in the right direction, right?
Right. So, for me, money is like points in a game. You need to earn those points. Otherwise, you might not even playing, even though you're working very hard, but you're not playing the right game. So those are validation points.
Right. And so if I ask you today, What is it that really gets you up in the morning? That really, you wake up and say, I love what I do. And not the title, but in the actual day-to-day, what is it? What is part of your work that you really, that's your core?
So, again, I think problem solving in huge scales, that's what I like to do. Give me a huge problem that I can see the progress. This is why I need it to be very tangible. I need it to be very measurable. Otherwise, I don't understand if I made any progress or not.
Right.
So give me a huge problem and let me measure it. That's really what drives me.
Right. Now, I guess I'm asking, but I have a feeling I know the answer. If you look back to your times as an animator, do you see yourself where you are today and the experiences you've had?
Well, you know what? I think what I do now is what I always done. So somebody asked me, when was my first job? Like a month ago. And I remember like a funny story that I totally forgot up until that point. When I was 7, that was my first job. I went to the grocery store and I told the manager there, I'm going to do all the errands and you're going to pay me. I don't remember what it was then, but maybe like 5 or 10, Israeli shekels. And I've done that for a day or two. And after a day or two, I figured out I can ask my friend to do all the errands, and I can give him half of the money.
How old were you?
7.
This is like Mark Sawyer stuff.
So at the age of 7, I've already done what I'm doing today, figuring out how do I do this better? How do I scale? And both my parents are like that. So I guess, doing animation is great, and I have this creative side, but, solving issues, solving problems, figuring out how do I make this better, how do I make this scalable is a way of thinking. I guess I was born like that.
So on more of a leadership perspective, you've been managing people for a long time across the different organizations. What's the same? What types of things do you see coming up often, whether it comes to hiring or day-to-day management of people or running an innovative approach? What is similar but maybe not trivial that maybe I as a young entrepreneur still don't understand because I haven't experienced it yet for myself?
Right. So for me, the key here, and that went, I saw that over and over in companies, always hire people that, you can mentor them, but they need to do their job better than you and treat them as co-founders. Don't treat them as employees. Like, make them partners to the journey. And with all the people that work with me, every meeting starts by me asking, okay, what do you need from me? Because I'm basically working for you guys. If you succeed, I succeed. So what do you need from me to succeed? And that's, I think that makes a whole difference. If you guys are, partners to the road, and you help them become better, then it's a whole different story, in terms of motivation, in terms of how they grow. If you really care about your employees, you want them to grow, you want them to be better for themselves, I think that makes a change.
Very, very cool. Tal, I can only imagine what you're going to be doing in the next 25 years. I can't really imagine because, it's crazy, the different jumps that you did and the different positions that you've held and the variety. I think it's just so awesome. And I'm sure that, in these 20 minutes, we only scratched the surface of a little bit of the insights that you've gained over these past 25 years, really. But I really appreciate you coming here, and I really enjoyed this conversation. I have a few questions, not about your work and not about marketing or revenues. It's more about Tal. Are you ready for them?
Yeah.
All right. We'll go back to middle school or high school. What was your favorite subject already back then?
Science.
Any
Yeah.
specific part of science?
No, I just love science and biology.
Science and biology, wonderful. Somebody in this world that inspires you along your journey. Somebody that, role model or even a little bit of inspiration.
So I have so many people that throughout my journey, helped me. I think, at my really first big job at Macromedia, I once screwed up so badly, I accidentally sent a newsletter where all the customers can actually see all the emails.
Really?
And I went to my boss then and said, you know what, I resigned because I did such a bad thing. And he said, why are you resigning? Only if you try, you make mistake.
Wow.
So the fact that you made a mistake means
That's amazing.
you did something good. And I really appreciate that. 20-something years after that, it was an amazing lesson.
I love that. That's a really, really cool story. Thank you for sharing that. And what are 3 words that you would use to describe yourself?
3 words. Creative, self-driven, and a father.
Wonderful. Creative, self-driven, and father. Tal, toda rabba. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
No, I would say good luck on the rest of the journey, but I don't think, I think it's way beyond luck at this point. But thank you for taking the time to be
I
here with me.
appreciate that.
I really appreciate it, and stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you. And
Take
thanks
care.
for all the kind words.
Thank you.